Welcome everybody to the Mind, Body, and Soul TV, coming to you live from our Denver, Colorado studios. We are also streaming, of course, live on YouTube Live and at consciousevolutionmedia.com, as well as Hangouts. And I'm your host, Coach Steve Toth, and we've been doing this show probably for more than 8 years, the Mind, Body, and Soul TV. I'd like to welcome our guest this evening, whose name is Michael Tamez, and he's a health coach. And he's joining us from that great warm place called Florida. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Steve. Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure.
Yeah, it's good to have you. And, usually this is the way we start this show. And that is, if I take away the title, health coach, and any other title that anybody has ever given you in your life to this point, if I take them all away, what's left? Who is really Michael Tamez?
Michael Tamez is a fellow brother of the human family. I mean, when I really think about it, when I really think deep about it, I'm just another person with extraordinary experiences. And with those extraordinary experiences, I'm sharing them with people and teaching them how to learn the things I learned and do the things that I learned in my journey. My 15-year health journey of losing 100 pounds, reversing obesity-related illnesses in my body. And the person that I am is just basically consciousness. And my goal is to spread that consciousness and the awareness that comes with it. So in a nutshell, that's who Michael Tamez is.
Awesome. All right, so tell us a little bit about, just to get related to the viewers, tell us a little bit about what got you to develop this passion, because I feel it already, that you have this tremendous passion, and you happen to be one of those people that you walk your talk, and you and I actually have quite a bit in common. It took me 2 years and a really bad illness that I was diagnosed with to finally wake up and realize that this isn't going to work. So yeah. I changed my entire habitual way of living my life, which included, yes, pop. I had basically no limits. I picked up all the American habits that everybody seems to be gorging themselves with, without even thinking what are the consequences of doing that. But that's no different than people watching television, commercial television,
Yeah,
and thinking,
definitely.
what is the consequence of watching this for 4 hours? So tell us a little bit about you, just a little, the smaller version of the story of what got you to wake up and become this incredible conscious human being.
Yeah, sure. It's funny that you call it soda pop, because that's what we call it back in Chicago, where I'm from originally. And when I moved down to Florida, I called it pop, and people were looking at me funny. What's pop? So apparently that's a Midwest and mountain thing. I don't know, but they've never heard of it in the South, so it's kind of funny. But speaking of soda pop, I was addicted to it. I used to drink about a 2-liter a day, and I used to eat fast food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And those two combined caused me to gain almost 100 pounds in the course of 2 years. And the reason for the physical weight loss wasn't actually a physical thing. It was actually a mental, emotional imbalance. And it's perfect that the topic of the conversation here is about balanced health and balanced living. Because when you look at physical health, you can't really just look at the physical body. You have to look at all other areas. For me personally, I gained all that weight because I was in a seriously dysfunctional relationship when I was younger. And I held on to a lot of anger, a lot of resentment, a lot of hatred, a lot of not good things, a lot of negativity. And because of that, I put on weight. I put on physical weight because I wasn't dealing with the negative emotions and the negative thoughts that I had, that I was holding on to. And it wasn't until I did some really heavy duty, internal work to transform those non-physical issues that I was able to move forward and lose the physical weight. I held on to the weight for years because, I thought it was a physical thing. And, it wasn't until I realized that it wasn't. That it took a lot of it took a lot of soul searching, a lot of crying, a lot of writing letters, and a lot of journaling, a lot of forgiveness, not only of the girl, but also of myself. I had to forgive on a deep level, such a deep level that caused me to really reinvent myself, reintroduce myself to myself, stripped away of ego, but just self. And in that presence of self, I was able to move forward and reach all my health goals, my physical health goals of losing the weight, overcoming my sleep apnea, because I developed sleep apnea by being overweight. And I had all kinds of other issues like high blood pressure and everything. All of those physical things cleared up once I took care of my mental and emotional imbalances. See, I kind of look at the body and the mind and the spirit and the emotions as a wheel. Think about this analogy. Think about a wheel, and every spoke on that wheel is a representation of something different, a different area of life. So for example, one spoke is your spiritual practice. Another spoke is your career. Another spoke is your educational level. Another spoke is your social life. And another spoke is the physical health. So all these spokes make the wheel perfect, right? A wheel spins nice and evenly with all the spokes completely trued and tightened upright. When one of those spokes becomes loose, what happens? The wheel starts wobbling, right?
Mm.
That's exactly what's going on when something in our life isn't working.
And the other spokes become loose as well.
Exactly. And the wheel starts wobbling, and then all of a sudden it gets so bad that you can't even drive the car or the bike anymore because it's wobbling so badly, because we didn't address the initial spoke that became loose, or the area of our life that's imbalanced.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
So absolutely. So I just want you to know that I've done a whole series of 24 shows that went to PBS. That's called the New Health Conversation. That we have actually explored this on Conscious Evolution Media from a perspective of all the scientists and all the doctors out there were giving us input as to what's going on here. And interestingly, what and I can say this from my own experience, is physical weight is never a physical issue. It's always another issue, a core issue that people have to get into. And interestingly, when people want to lose weight, where they go is they go to the medical professional, or they go to diets, and the way it gets treated is with drugs. And drugs will just the drugs will just make it even worse. And the diets are all fads. How do we know that? How do we know that? Because it's $1 billion industry, and it still is not working, obviously, because 65% of America is obese, right?
Oh yeah,
and so,
2 and 3 people.
Your number was kind of interesting, because you said 245 pounds is where you got to, and that's exactly where I got to. So can you imagine me at 245 pounds?
Wow.
Oh my God! And I was there, and I'm still working on this. I'm not completely done. I got to 189, and I don't have an aspiring goal like what you had, but I still have another 15 to 20 to go, and then I'll be there. But interestingly, how I changed my entire life. I'm also not aging. I'm noticing that my aging has completely slowed down. And, we talked about this with scientists, that every cell of our body is basically communicates with every other cell, including our minds. So, whatever's going on in our mind gets communicated. It's a whole network within our body, and every one of our cells knows what they're supposed to do based on what we're thinking.
That is absolutely true. And I'll tell you what, I know from personal experience that's true, because one of my biggest things that I like to teach people is how to listen to their body. Because just like you said, we have all these billions of cells. We have more cells than we have bacteria. I mean, we have so many cells going, just communicating constantly throughout our body. And when we understand what our body's trying to communicate with us, then we can see where these imbalances are.
Mm-hmm.
How can you know where if something is off if you're not listening to the communication from your body? Our body communicates constantly to us, but we're so busy with our life, with our technology, and with our jobs, and with shopping and kids and everything going on in the crazy world. We tend to ignore the communication. You know, it's like you get we get a symptom, and then all of a sudden, it's no big deal. It's a little pain, it's a little inflammation, it'll go away, it's fine. And then it escalates and escalates, and all of a sudden, now you need to go to the doctor, and then like you said, all they can do is just offer you medication or surgery. I mean, those are the two options.
Treat the symptom. Yeah.
Treat the symptom.
They never
instead of getting to the root cause of what is going on underneath that symptom, underneath the physical symptom, what is going on in the person's life. And a lot of the time, because of the fast-paced lifestyle and all the technology and all the stuff, people are just stressed out. So many illnesses, diseases are caused by a stressful life. Stressful job, stressful home living situation, stressful relationships, stressful, just stress everywhere. Stress causes inflammation, and inflammation leads to disease.
And you know what's interesting, Michael, what I noticed is that this lifestyle, it has become the norm.
Yes, it has. It's become normal to just cover up the stress too.
Yeah.
You know, to take medication for the stress, or to, you know, some people become alcoholics or turn to drugs for stress. But these are not, you know, these are more things that cover up the stress, cover up the symptom. You know, practices like yoga, meditation, Tai Chi, and you know, similar energy healing energy healing work you can do. These are all things that can actually reduce and eliminate the stress naturally. And these are things that can be done every day, and they're actually health promoting, and they slow down the aging process too, and they can help balance all these areas that I was talking as well. You know, the mental, emotional, spiritual, and the physical.
Yeah, absolutely, no question. You're not gonna get any argument out of me on that. So I want to explore something with you, because it's kind of a different level of consciousness that I've been getting to, and this is my own experience, and I want to get your feedback as to what you think about this. When I mentioned that the new Health Conversation TV that went to PBS, 24 shows, and I didn't have this realization because my personal evolution was not where it is today. This is going back probably 2 years ago. So what's coming up for me nowadays, so back then I didn't realize what we were doing on that show basically is showing the public how bad everything is. We basically have proven by bringing in the scientists and bringing in all the doctors, showing the public that we have messed up our air, we have messed up our water supply, we have messed up all the ground, the soil that everything is grown. So those micronutrients that you talk about and others talk about are not found in the food anymore. It's gone. So what we're eating is basically, we think we're eating food, but we're not eating the food. So America has become really good at making things that look good, including vegetables, including everything else, but there is no nutritional value in them. So we have even proven that an apple that you eat today, like if I gave you an apple in 1975, that same apple, if I give it to you today, I would have to give you 12 of them. Now, how many people do you know that eats 12 apples a day?
Right.
None.
Yeah, I know.
So, go ahead.
I was just going to say, our soil is definitely depleted, because of all the genetic modification and all the pesticides and herbicides and all that stuff. But there actually is hope, though, because if we grow our own, and we support our local community and agriculture, and we go to the farms, the local farms and the farmers markets and the co-ops, we're buying produce straight from the farmer. We can visit the farm and see if they're using these chemicals. You know, a lot of the old school ways of farming included crop rotation. They included a complement planting. So these techniques were used for hundreds of years to not need any chemicals. These techniques naturally warded off pests, prevented disease, and we've strayed away so far from that technique that we're now looking at this fake produce and this genetically modified Frankenstein foods that you're talking about. I mean, it's like you go to the store and these tomatoes are like pale and they look dead. They look sickly. They don't look anything or taste anything like they did in the 70s, 80s. And that's because of what we've done to the soil and the mass production of food. And I think that the government wants us to think that there is not enough demand or not enough supply for the demand. And I beg to differ. I mean, if you think about all the landmass that we have and the population density of the United States and other countries in the world, there is plenty of fertile soil to grow on. We're just not using it. We're not utilizing it because we're being told these lies about the soil is depleted and we can't produce tasty and healthy produce anymore. It just, you have to rely on us now. We have to genetically modify. We have to make hybrid stuff. There's no heirloom anymore, blah, blah, blah. All this stuff is just meant to keep us away from the holistic nature of everything. Like I was saying, the wheel concept applies the same way with our food. The more we stray away from nature, the more sick the food is going to get and the more sick it's going to make us. So that's why I'm encouraging people to either grow your own or go to your local farmer, support the agriculture, your community, and buy it local. Grow it yourself. You can even grow stuff indoors all year round. You can even make your own fertilizer, compost. Take your kitchen scraps, reuse them. Make sure you have a good nitrogen to a phosphorus mix. You can create your own fertilizer so that your soil never goes depleted in your garden, or even in your own, if you container garden inside, you can grow stuff year round. These are the solutions that we have to make sure that we're getting the nutrients that we need from the food instead of relying on the government to give us our GMO foods, or relying on supplements, which are highly processed with who knows what kind of ingredients they're putting in this stuff, you know? So it's just interesting when you really break it down and look at what we're being told, what we're being sold, and what we can actually buy and focus on and do ourselves. You know, it's pretty interesting.
Well, so the reason why that works, however, Michael, is because the majority of the population is not conscious.
Exactly.
So you can only sell this stuff. You can only sell this stuff, and you can only create the TV shows that they're creating on commercial television to people that are running on automatic pilot. But let me finish my thought where I begun. I wanted to share this with you, that I didn't realize 2 years ago that what we were doing is we were basically in our own trap. And what the trap is, and this is what I want your feedback on, what the trap is that we got ourselves into duality, which is where everybody gets stuck in, meaning that we were fighting against something. We were fighting against the quote unquote bad guys, the stuff that you were just talking about, not realizing that the good stuff doesn't exist without the bad stuff, and the bad stuff doesn't exist without the good stuff. You got to have both of them in this third dimensional reality to have things go on like the way it goes on. So what do you think about that there is this duality nature of humanity, and when we declare these wars, like against this, against that, when we take sides, we are in a trap that we can't get out of. So have you thought about that? Has this ever come into your consciousness at all?
Oh yeah, definitely, Steve. In fact, I think everything is, there has to be an opposite. You know, we have yin yang, we have on off, we have yes no, we have dark and light, we have ego and self, We have, you know, it's just, it just doesn't make sense that something could be 100% one way. Like if, like people, especially people that claim that label themselves as spiritual but not religious. A lot of people that make that claim about themselves say, I want to choose to just live in love and fear, no fear at all, none of that. Fear cannot enter. Fear does not exist. And
Well, that's BS.
well, yeah, it creates an illusion. But I mean, there's a lot of there is a lot of stuff in New Age and some metaphysical stuff that's like you have to eliminate fear. Well, fear is actually a teacher. Same thing with our ego.
And we can't eliminate the ego either.
If you don't have the ego to give you the courage and strength to do stuff, then self is just left there, you know, without direction. But at the same token, if you give too much power to the ego, then you become a slave of it. You know, if we can make ego our slave and let self guide the way, and then ego can be there to when we need it to come out and fight for us or have the courage or strength to do something, that's when we have balance. And it all comes back to the balance conversation. You can't have one without the other for total balance. Yes. And that is exactly, I totally resonate with that. It resonates with me deep down in my soul and my being and my consciousness and my auric field. And it goes out to the universe, because just like we're all connected, we're all brothers and sisters of the human family. And we can't have that kind of connection if we all are just one, or I mean, not just one, but just one entity, or one, like love. If we're all just love, how can we appreciate that love? How can we see the love in everyone else if we don't have stuff that comes up that we see in other people? And every time we see stuff in other people, we're just looking at a mirror, because it's just reflecting the stuff that we don't like about ourselves. So it's a give and take relationship, not only with other people, but with the planet, with the universe, with energy itself. I mean, there has to be this duality, but also I think the duality meshes into one. And
do you feel that there is a way to raise above duality?
I mean, if we are made of pure consciousness, if every molecule of every being, everything everywhere comes from just energy and consciousness, just one universal thing, then there has to be a higher dimension of this reality, or another alternate reality, or a parallel universe, maybe, that this is merged and everything is just there, and it's all simultaneous but also separate at the same time. I don't know. I mean, this is a very interesting conversation, you know, that I actually ponder sometimes, like the origin of evil or something. You know?
I'm actually toying with this right now, and I've been practicing some things, and I want to share that with you as well, because I want to share it. I want to keep sharing it on the network. And you come from a specific area, which is health. That's, to me, is like on the top of my priorities, because without our health, we don't have anything. So, so what I've been toying with is a few things. One is practicing allowance, like allowing. So I go out in the world and I experience all kinds of things, and I'm training myself to allow the experience to occur without judgment. And it's really not that hard to do. It really isn't. And then what I noticed out of that is that I noticed how repetitive my life is. Like how, and if I am this way, everybody else must be this way as well. And I've noticed all the repetitious things that I've been doing every day, and I'm changing it all. And I'm forcing my mind to expand and don't replay for me the same stuff over and over again. You know how when you go to a website and with a browser and you're looking at it, like if I went to your website, I look at it, my computer will actually memorize that website. And the next time I go to it, it's going to replay it for me instead of creating it brand new. You know that, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I think the human brain works the same way. So, so there's a lot of this stuff that we're doing is all repetitious. It's like, it's how I'm proving it to myself that none of this is real. It's the only thing that's real for me is my thought and what's going on with you and I right now. That's all that I can find that's real. And then when I stop this show and I go do something else, then that's what's real. And I'm having these feelings that I'm everywhere. My past, my future, my present is simultaneously in existence. And it's kind of interesting because before this period, and this is only like 2 months old that I've been messing with this. So before this period, I had very specific things that I did. The way I went to my corporate life, the way I dressed, like I had specific colored shirts for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Specific. I noticed that even my socks were the same on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and the shoes that I wore, I picked up for certain days. And then I noticed that the restaurants I went to eat on certain days, there's this habitual stuff over and over and over again, including the way I went to the office, and I'm changing it all. And what's coming out of that is, I don't even know how I have words to describe it. It's like, wow. The experience I'm having is like, I don't know who I am anymore. And boy, have I talked on this network a million times about you got to know who you are. And I am at a place right now that I don't really know who the heck am I, other than I know that I am created from a stream of consciousness. I know that. But now my request, and I'm kind of making a real friendship with my mind, because I had some not so nice things to say about my mind before, and I made up with my mind, and we're friends again. And I want my mind to assist me to be able to see more, feel more, love more, smell more. I am requesting expansion. I want to expand what I'm experiencing. So what do you think about that?
This is actually a collective thing going on right now, and people that are in the same genre, the health genre, the consciousness genre, the spiritual, the eco-friendly living, all of these things are now coming together, and people are coming together, communities are coming together with ideas, innovative inventions, new technologies, new thought forms. And a lot of people are just getting to the point where they are dissatisfied with mundane stuff and looking to connect with something higher. And that's actually one of the things that I like to empower people to experience is their highest version of their self, their authentic self. Because a lot of the time we live in our inauthentic self, which is basically the prisoner of the mind that you were describing a little while ago.
Yeah.
Living in this prison keeps us where we don't want to be, keeps us in that corporate 9-to-5 slavery mentality, keeps us in poverty mentality, keeps us in I'm a piece of crap, I can't do this, I'm not worthy of this, I'm too ugly, I'm too fat, I'm stupid, I'm inadequate. It keeps us in this mode of conversation that we need to transcend and move beyond. And a lot of people are into space, and this is a very interesting time to live in right now that we're in a time of evolution, conscious evolution.
So I'm going to say this because I might as well say it. So I'm having these realizations that how powerful I am, that I am really responsible 100% of creating what I'm experiencing. And
exactly,
the power that I have is unlimited. There's no limit to this.
The only limit is our own.
And it
Our own
doesn't scare
limitations.
me. It doesn't scare me.
Yeah.
You know, before I probably would dismiss it because it was easier just to do the same stuff over and over again. But that bores me. I can't
Mhm.
deal with that stuff anymore. It's not that I can't deal with it. I choose not to. It's just like
Yeah, sure.
that's old news. I'm done with that. let's let's create something incredible and awesome. And it's happening to the network as well, because the conversation we are having, like this one and many others, it's and people are getting it. So the reason I brought it up is because I wanted to know where you're at, and obviously you're completely connected to the same stuff that I'm talking about. And it's very tough for me to put words, because I'm having feelings and experiences that the words to describe them haven't been invented. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, it's spirit. It's authentic spirit um, running through you, and you're
mhm.
experiencing it. And a lot of people when they try to explain what they're experiencing, it's difficult because we try to get in our mind and rationalize it and make it logic, but it's not logical information. It's information that's being downloaded from consciousness itself. And a lot of the time that stuff is channeled, and you just got to let it flow and just let it just be it and just feel it and know it and let it be part of you, of your essence, of your being. Because when we try to rationalize it, then we cloud up the space, and then that creates, it not only creates separation from our consciousness, but it also creates it clutters up the space, so you can't see things clearly anymore, and you can't receive these downloads anymore from the universe. It's so interesting, isn't it? I mean, it's
Yeah.
a lot of people are at this point where they're downloading this information, and they're like, well, what is going on? I don't know where this is coming from. I just know I need to do something with my life different than I'm doing now, because this doesn't work anymore. This is not serving my higher purpose. This is not resonating with my soul. I got to do something different. And I know a lot of people can relate to that. I was one of them. I just left my corporate job about 6 months ago to do what I'm doing now, because I couldn't bear going. I worked in corporate world for 15 years. I just couldn't bear going to work anymore, knowing what I know, having experienced what I've experienced, and knowing that there's people out there that need the information that I've gathered, the wisdom that I've earned through living life. I knew I had to do something with that. So a lot of people are in that situation, and I just want to say, if someone is watching right now, if you're in that, if you can resonate, if you can relate to this and it resonates with you, really let that information download and see what it's trying to show you. See what maybe there is to learn from this download, and see maybe if there's something that you can offer that's a unique solution to something that's needed right now in the world. Something that maybe you've experienced in your life that you can offer to people to better their life, or I don't know. I mean, it's just something to tap into. And in order to do that, comes back to the whole listening to your body, and listening to your emotions, thoughts, and everything that it's trying to tell you. Because once we understand this communication clearly, then we can put a plan in action and see, oh, okay, that is what I need to be doing to live to my highest potential in my life. Does that
So
make sense?
who is the one that you think is trying to tell us?
Who is the one? I think it's not a person or a who, or I think it's more of an it, or just energy, honestly. I mean, if we can stand in any salty body of water and be connected to everybody else in the world, every continent is connected through our oceans. Just think about that network. Just think about that. Just think about that and how it relates to when we look up at the stars. It is the same concept, as above, so below. The same connection we experience when we look at one star, that star is connected to everything out there, and who knows what is that? Like, can anyone even label that, or even try to describe that?
So yeah, but Michael, so how do you know? I mean, that's created by our mind. It's created what you see when you look up in the sky, it's your eye translating frequency, translating information, limited information, to the mind. And then the mind creates this holographic image. So how do you know what's real and what isn't? What's real anyway?
Exactly. What's not real? What is reality to be? What is, I think, just everything that we can label, everything, it's all labels when you think about it. Because when you just let something be and just experience it, that is just life itself. I mean, if we are spiritual beings in a physical vessel living this earthly life, what does it all mean? What is the purpose of coming here from there or wherever we come from to have this vessel to experience this life here on earth? Why weren't we incarnated on Mars or on another galaxy 15 billion light years away? These are questions. I mean, what if this is all, what if everything that we know of is just a hologram?
That's a very good possibility.
You know, I mean, what if it's all just a movie that we are watching and we think it's real? And the reality is that our dreams are actually real, and we look at them and we see impossibility with our dreams. But what if it's the other way around? Isn't that an interesting concept when you think about it?
But what if it's really all the same thing?
What if it is? What if it's all merged?
There's no difference between
there's
no difference between what we dream and what we call reality. Is the same thing. We just have to go through evolution to be able to do the stuff that we dream about. Maybe, I don't know. But when I go to this concept of if I separate the I and I go to I am, which I mean being the ego and being separate and disconnected. If I go to I am, what I'm experiencing is that I am the creator of all of it. So there is nothing else. I am basically saying that I'm God. Because I'm creating this experience. I'm creating every experience. And you know, I don't know any special purpose other than for me, I know that I like to feel good.
Who doesn't?
So I'm going to pursue the things that are making me feel good. And I'm going to chuckle through life and then see what happens. And I don't know if I have to have, like, you know, a plan what I'm going to do after this is over. But I'm toying with the idea, and I said this many years ago, that I'm going to live for 400 years, and I'm going to connect that to the flower of life and the pyramid power I saw on your website. So tell us about that.
Oh yes, I'm glad you asked that question, because I actually have. You can see the flower of life behind me right there on my on my background.
I have one behind me too.
Oh, I don't see it.
I know, because there's this panel behind you. Right? It's behind the panel. It's like
and on my
it's behind the veil.
I see. Yeah, my book cover is influenced by the flower of life and the pyramids, because I recently got into sacred geometry, and I've discovered that it is okay. So just to give you a quick rundown, I was an Eckist, which Eckankar is, I don't know if you've heard of it or anyone has heard of it. Eckankar is used to be called the Path of Light and Sound. It's now called the Religion of Light and Sound. It basically combines Buddhist philosophy with some Christian teachings and a little bit of soul travel, a little bit of shamanic journeying. It's a kind of a mishmash. So I was raised in that, and that didn't resonate. And then I became a baptized, born-again Christian for a couple of years. Didn't resonate. So I'm not
surprised.
Yeah, that was an interesting experience. That's a whole story in and of itself. But from there, I got into Wicca, witchcraft, and I actually joined. I was in a I was in a circle for a little while and did rituals, and that was interesting. I learned a lot. I learned more in that experience than anything I was only in it for about a year, a little over a year. That was a very interesting experience. And that didn't fully resonate with me either.
I done that too.
Yeah,
I
interesting.
done all the stuff that you're talking about.
and yeah,
I was just curious, and then
me too. You
it
know,
didn't satisfy my curiosity. Matter of fact, I felt that something was off, so I left.
yeah, same here, same here. And recently I don't know how I know my dad had mentioned the power of sacred geometry to me, and I know he threw it out there, but I never really paid attention to it. It was just like, okay, whatever, out of sight, out of mind. And I somehow, some way started researching it and reading about it. And I just became really fascinated by it and started looking it up. And I actually got a compass and some colored pencils, and I started drawing it myself. I had a sketchbook, and I did all kinds of, patterns and forms and shapes. And I started really seeing how when I was doing it, like it would actually open up my creativity level. So I started really researching more into it and got books and reading about it and started like really meditating on the symbols, especially the flower of life. Because if you research the flower of life, I'm sure you know this. According to understanding of that symbol, all religious symbols, everything comes from that symbol. Everything is derived from it because it's perfect in nature. And it's actually, if you look at like a shell, the Fibonacci spiral and stuff, everything goes back to that symbol, or the perfectness of the creation itself, or creation, the actual element of creation, or the energy used to create the symbol. So I just saw that there was power in it. And I actually built a copper pyramid for meditation that I have in my room. And it's a 7-foot by 7-foot pyramid. So you could actually lay in it, you can sit in it, you can sleep in it, you can meditate under it. And I have it's actually built to the dimensions of the Great Pyramids, 51 point something degrees. I don't remember what it is. There's a calculation you can do. You find it online. But I meditate under the pyramid, and I just got that these symbols are extremely powerful. And that's why I included the flower of life on my book and the pyramids, because I wanted to actually infuse the energy of the creation itself. When people actually see my book, they see the front cover, and that's like, bam, that's right in your face. There is that energy. There is the energy of creation, or creation itself. There it is right there when you look at my book. And from that, then people can see, not even knowing what's in the book, they can feel the power just by holding the book in their hand. I know to some people that might sound like crazy woo-woo, but I invite you to really investigate sacred geometry and the power of it, because from my experience, it has been magnificent, and it is now incorporated into my spiritual practice. I don't label it as anything. I don't even say I'm spiritual but not religious. I just am drawn to the symbols, the shapes, and I incorporate them into my meditation, and that's all there is to it. And I put it on my book because it's powerful. So that's pretty much in a nutshell. I have an affinity for it. I think it's awesome.
Very cool. So this book of yours called Transformative Nutrition, I want to make sure you tell our viewers where they can get it, and
Definitely.
And what's the promise if they read the book?
It is to experience the highest level of health, not only your physical health, but your mental, emotional, spiritual, career, financial health, all of it. Like we were like just going back to that wheel analogy, making sure that wheel of your life is completely balanced. And if an area is imbalanced,
the wheel of life, I did that like 20 years ago or 25 years ago. You
yeah.
probably weren't even born yet, were you?
Oh, no. No, I'm not that young. I guess yeah. Anti-aging, I'm telling you, you got to do yoga every day. Yeah, it's it's 15 years of my life basically crammed into 220 pages. Everything I experienced, from losing 100 pounds to reversing sleep apnea to even the stuff we talked about earlier, GMOs and growing your own food, to chemical awareness, to, oh man, there's just so much information covered in my book that it would take years of research on each individual topic. So I gathered all this information together and made it easy for the reader to just read my book.
You done the heavy lifting, yeah.
Yes, I did. I did a lot of the grunt work, a lot of the trial and error, a lot of the blood, sweat, tears, a lot of the what the F's, a lot of the this doesn't work. Oh, what is going on here? Oh, everything's falling apart. And to, oh, this is amazing. Oh wait, no, it's not. Oh wait, hold on, I'm still in the process. Oh, here it is. Actually, no. Here's everything. Now make an informed decision. My book is to present information to people, not to give absolutes. I'm sick and tired of books, fad diet books out there that are full of absolutes. This is the way to go. This is going to work for you, just like religion.
This is the only way.
This is the only way to do it. You can't look here, tunnel. You look outside the tunnel. No, you can't do it. It doesn't work.
When you hear that, it's time to run.
It's time to flip the switch, turn it off, and put the book aside, get another book. So my book is geared more towards empowering people, giving information to them so that they can take that information, keep what resonates, put aside what doesn't, maybe for a later date, maybe forever, maybe it'll never resonate. But taking what does and really incorporating it, because these are powerful tools. I infused 15 years of my life into presenting these tools for people to use so they can really live their most vibrant self and experience life on, that high level of health, consciousness, mental, emotional health, all of it. So all of this, and every word behind it comes from my heart. And every article that I write on my website, same thing. It's all original, organically written by me, and it all comes from my heart, from something I've experienced in my life. So I'm not going to just share information because it's cute or because it's going around on Facebook. I'm going to share it because it resonates with the 15 years of work that I've done and all the work and energy that I've infused into the book. So it makes it that much more authentic and that much more personal. And people can relate when they know someone has experienced something similar to what they're dealing with, or has tools to help them along the way with something that they might be struggling with in their life. And that's exactly what my book is designed to offer people.
Awesome. So how can they get it? Just send them to your website, or
my website is easiest place, michaeltamez.com, and I have it right there. It's available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, iTunes, Kobo, pretty much anywhere books are sold. And if you go to my website at michaeltamez.com, I also have an amazing newsletter that I send out every couple weeks. And like I said, it's filled with articles that I've written personally, and I also share some recipes that I find that are all natural, no chemical ingredients, minimal ingredients. I also have giveaways sometimes. I have seminar invites. So a lot of good stuff there. And it's just a lot of good stuff. And you can also connect with me on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Google+, YouTube, all of those things as well on michaeltamez.com.
All right, awesome, Michael. So I read a little bit about you on your website, and I definitely connected to the life that you come from, the relationships there or the relationship, your big relationship that was so dysfunctional. So I don't want to talk about that much because we all had dysfunctional relationships. We all know what that's like.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about how is your life today? Just describe a day. What does Michael Tamez, with all this wisdom and stuff that he's done, how do you create a day?
I create it by taking care of myself first, because like you said earlier, without health, everything else is worthless. We could have all the money in the world, we can have all the stocks, bonds, and precious metals, 401k, all this stuff is meaningless if we can't wake up and feel amazing about what we're going to do for the day. Starting off with that kind of mentality. And then I do have a morning ritual that I do where I drink water. I do rebounding, which is bouncing on a trampoline to get my lymphatic system moving.
Sounds like a lot of repetition to me.
Yeah, I do a lot of repetition. Yeah, I definitely do.
Okay.
I do have a routine, but
Yeah.
it gets my day started. It gets my day started right. It gets me feeling good, and it just gets me in a good mindset, and just gets me gets me present to when I actually do what I do, my work. Then I can appreciate what I'm telling people, because if I'm, like you said in the beginning of the conversation, if I'm not living the talk and, you know, walking the walk and all that, then it makes everything I'm saying meaningless. You know, who wants to take information from someone that's not really doing what they're recommending to people? And believe it or not, being in this field, I see a lot of that. And yeah, and I can catch myself.
I see a lot of that in the field I'm in.
Oh yeah. You know, it's just crazy. It's just insane. You know, and I don't want to be one of those people. And I catch myself all the time when I'm coaching my clients and I'm telling them to do something, and it's like, you better make sure you do that yourself. So,
because you can't make them do it.
Right, exactly. You know, the best way to teach someone is to show by example, be the leader so that they catch on and they see it. You can't, you know, you can make someone wrong. All it's going to do is push what you want them to try further away. You know, they just see someone that's trying to sell something or be, you know, pushy with them, and it just doesn't work. So I have my wellness routine, and I do yoga and I meditate. And I go and I like to ride bike a lot too. So these are the things that I do for my wellness. And then I also, you know, like I said, I try to eat as healthy as possible. I mean, in the world we live in with the polluted air and the polluted water, and it's kind of hard to be organic all the time. So I let myself have junk food once in a while. And I encourage people to not beat themselves up or feel guilty if you reach for something that you like. You know, people, it's totally fine to have comfort food. Just don't reach for it all the time instead of dealing with your emotions. Because comfort food for me, when I gained all that weight, was a drug to numb the emotions that I wasn't wanting to deal with. And that's something very powerful when you really become present to it. It's like, am I eating now because I'm hungry, or am I eating because I'm trying to stuff emotions down? You know, this is a really powerful question. So just being aware and present and cognizant of what I'm doing throughout the day and what I'm eating and how I'm living, and making sure that it's aligned with what I'm teaching people to do and be. That's pretty much what I try to model my day around and my life around.
So now what, Michael?
You know, I'm putting it in the hands of in the space of the universe. I don't know.
But you are the universe.
I am. So I guess what I say, I create, you know? So
yeah.
How about I create Dr. Oz? I don't know. I just, right now I'm trying to get this message out to as many people as possible. And you know, that's where I'm at right now. And, you know, doing radio and TV interviews has been big for me, because I'm able to reach people, and then people share it, and then people find out about it, and then people contact me, and I answer questions, and then I end up coaching them. And that's how it works. So
fantastic. So one more last question before we close out the show, because it's another curiosity I have. Have you heard of breatharians?
I have. It doesn't ring, like I wouldn't be able to describe it to you, but I know I've heard of it. Somehow, some way I have.
Right. Why do you, so these are people that are basically living on air or living on light, and they don't eat food and they don't drink water.
Interesting. That would explain the breath. Okay. So
they basically, my understanding is there are two types. One, one that's obviously living on air, and the other. So the ones that are living on air, they are aging, and they go through what we go through, but they don't drink water and they don't eat physical food. So they're getting all the nutrition out of the air and the energy of the sun. And there are the ones that actually have awakened their DNA, and they basically are capable of using the energy, the frequency of consciousness to basically live forever. Now, I haven't met any one of these people, but but I'm told that they do exist, and I don't know where, but I'm curious to. I was just curious if, since you're in the business you're in, that you may have heard more about it than I have.
That's interesting.
But I'm curious about it, and I'm going to do some more research to see what's going on.
You got me curious about it now too. Yeah. I'm gonna look it up too.
Because it seems to me that it's another concept of taking our evolution to a place where it's different from what it is today. And I'm interested in anything and everything that's something different and innovative than what we've been doing for the last 2,000 years. Because the only thing I figure that we have done so far in the last 2,000 years is we've been innovative about technology. But other than that, we humans haven't gone through much evolution that I can tell.
Yeah, I think, but I have to agree to an extent, because like I said, I think we're really at a time where things are really going to start accelerating. I mean, if you look at, I don't know if you're familiar with a book called Bringers of, or not Bringers of Dawn, The Voyagers.
No, I'm not.
It is a very interesting read, and in that book they actually predicted a lot of the awakening that's been happening in the last couple of years. And basically what it said was that the period between 2012 to 2017 was going to be a massive evolution in consciousness, opening up a new world of possibilities. And that world leads into the higher dimensions of consciousness, which actually allows us to reconnect to all of our strands of DNA. So it's a very interesting book, and I recommend checking it out. It's very technical and there's a lot of sacred geometry in it, and a lot of Kabbalistic principles, and a lot of symbols and equations and stuff. But there is a lot of really interesting information in there that kind of explains what's going on in the planet right now. And pretty much what you said, like, we've been stuck in this paradigm for the last 2,000 years, but we are on the verge of busting out so incredibly powerfully that we don't know. Like, we are on the tip of the iceberg.
Sounds good to me.
I really, it makes sense to me, because look at what's going on right now. I mean, there's a lot of craziness going on, but there's also a lot of people waking up and turning from their oppressive beliefs, and there's the suppression and the racist upbringing and all this.
People are questioning.
Exactly.
For the first time, I think in the history of humanity, people are beginning to question everything.
And this is incredible progress, because all these years, people have just accepted what they were told, what they were taught, what they were passed down from generation to generation without questioning it. And people are now saying, well, why should I believe that? Why should I believe what the history book said, or what the preacher said, or what my grandmother said that her grandmother's grandmother said? So this is a really.
You mean Adam and Eve were not the first humans?
Oh, that's a whole conversation right there, man. We've been on this call for an hour. I could go for another hour talking about that alone. Jeez.
Well, we'll have to reschedule you.
We'll love to come back.
This has been awesome, Michael. You've been so easy and delightful to talk to. Your energy is fantastic. I very much resonate with you and what you do and what you're committed to and what your passion is. It's absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much for being on the network. I can't thank you enough to spread your message, because your message is everybody's message that comes to the network is is very, very important, and people are getting something. And I kind of let that go in terms of, I used to be very into look at all the numbers and the stats and all that, and I kind of let it all go a few years ago. I no longer care about the numbers. I just care about creating these conversations and what's the next topic, the next theme we need to talk about that's going to move humanity's evolution forward. That's all I'm committed to. So
Steve,
thank you for being part of this.
thank you, brother. I really appreciate it, and thank you for everything you're doing and the consciousness that you're spreading and the awareness that you're sharing. I appreciate it as well. Thank you so much for having me on the show, man.
Yeah, thanks. For everybody else, keep watching this show and all the other shows that we have. We have a couple of thousand of them on YouTube. We are kind of a latecomer to YouTube, but we're catching up. So keep coming, and we have a top 10 list every month. The more you watch this show or any of the other shows, they go up on the top 10 list every month. If they make it to the top 10, there's the possibility of going to public television and also on cable television. So thank you so much. See you guys next time, which will be tomorrow, same time, same place on Conscious Evolution Media Network. Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a good night.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man.